Hi, welcome to Cooking Matters Connecticut. I'm your host, Kelly Gilbert. Cooking Matters is a nutrition education program that teaches how to eat healthy on a budget. We're based out of the Community Health Network of Connecticut Foundation, and we would like to thank the Curtis C. Robinson Center for Health Equity for collaborating with us on this video series, and the Corsini Kitchen at the Wheeler Family Health and Wellness Center for letting us use this beautiful space. Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Cooking Matters Connecticut.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Everyone's week been okay?
Yep.
Good.
Absolutely.
All right, well, so today is actually one of my favorite activities that Cooking Matters does. So we've talked about all the food groups. Last week, you guys were here for episode 4, so you were the conversation where we talked about budgeting and planning and making our grocery list, right?
Yeah.
Making menus, all of that. So now is where we take those grocery lists and show more so how to put it into action. So,
good.
And with Cooking Matters, we do this 2 ways. We do offer store tours at actual grocery stores, but I like this way better because we're not at the grocery store. So
Yeah.
there's no kids crying. We're not hitting anyone with our grocery carts. And I brought the grocery store to you.
Yes.
All right, so how this works, I'm going to have a bunch of laminated papers, and everything we have has a food on it, a price, so we'll practice with unit price, and then ingredients as well. So we can do a little review on that, but I think we've covered it pretty good over the course so far. All right, so starting with the grocery store, you know, where is all the healthy stuff really? Is it around the outside or in the center of the grocery store? Like your fresh, whole foods.
On the outside.
Outside, good. So here's our first tip of the day. So when you go grocery shopping, you want to walk around the perimeter first. And that'll avoid just all the processed things, most of them. A lot of the impulse buys are usually in the middle, so that's where we get like the cookies. And, you know, we have to have it now. So if you can fill your grocery cart too high for those impulse buys, this is where you want to do it. So we walk in, we usually see our produce section, then our meat, right, fish, some deli in there, which is actually more of the processed meats, and then our dairy, and then the middle aisles are where we're going to have our processed foods. It doesn't mean that it's all bad. That's where our bread and pasta and a lot of healthy whole grains are, but also a lot of the unhealthy stuff. All right. So first lesson that. Second one, so this is actually a quiz. So true or false question. Do you guys think the sale items are usually at the end of the aisles called the end cap? Is that true or false?
True.
True. So this is actually trickery. So don't look to the aisles for the best deals. It usually is true, but we're actually going to use the unit pricing to find the best deals.
Okay.
So what happens is, this is actually a lot to do with marketing. So a certain company, right, and I have friends actually that do this as a job, so they told me about it even. So a certain company will say, you know, I want to push this potato chip in this region. So, you know, for 2 weeks at all of this grocery store, I'm going to pay for extra space on the ends of the aisle. Now, they usually do mark it down on sale so that you'll buy it. But a lot of times they'll actually mark it up the week beforehand, and you never notice that. Isn't that crazy? It'll go up.
Actually, I have noticed that. There was sausage, and it said, buy one at regular price and get the second one for a penny.
Oh.
Yes.
That was a good deal.
But no, it wasn't, because the week before that, they was actually $1.99 a piece.
Oh my gosh.
So you ended up really, I guess that was actually a penny different, but you was paying a penny more for the sale when you say.
So what was the price when it had buy one get one for a penny?
It
marked it up.
They marked it up. They
So how
marked
much?
it up. That's what I'm
So
saying.
$4?
It was $3.98. Okay. Whereas the week before that they were $1.99 and $1.99, so it comes up to $3.98. But you get the second one
for a penny.
So now you paid $3.99 for something last week you paid $3.98 for.
Right.
And if a lot of people do that, those pennies add up.
Yes, they
do,
do.
right?
Yeah.
So I actually saw that because it actually happened to me, and I was like, these things was
You're not supposed to be able to figure that out.
Right? They weren't
Yeah,
counting
they're
on
smarter
that.
than you. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So there you go, proof positive. That
Yeah.
is not just talk, it really happens.
really happens.
Yeah, so it's really about the marketing space more than it is about sales.
Yeah.
You know, and just any kind of sales, I mean, any type of sale in the world is always for the company. Just in case people didn't know that. So food, cell phones, clothes, it's for the company. So the way we really find out the best deal on any given item is by comparing unit price. So we have a handout on this, but just to show you the basics of what this looks like. You can find this in all the food, but I like to demonstrate on the produce. So when you look at a price tag, so this is a thing of carrots, a 5-pound bag of carrots. Retail price is what you're going to give to the cashier. So that's what it's costing us. The orange sticker actually tells us how much that item is though by the unit. So either by pound or by ounce for the most part.
Yeah.
So do you guys ever look at that now, or did you even know what that was?
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Did you know that? Okay. So I just learned that honestly when I worked for Cookie Matters, you know, when I went on my first ever grocery shopping tour.
Yeah.
That's where I learned about that. Because I always thought that this was maybe the price that the price that the grocery store bought it for. It just seemed right. And I know, you know, a grocery store buying it for 70 cents and selling it for $3.49 sounds like a lot, but
That's
I don't
the
know.
markup.
$1 million markup? Yep, that
Yeah.
sounds normal to me, right? So that's business. So I was wrong. So that's actually the unit price, and everything will have one, but you want to know how to calculate this on your own as well. So if you're shopping and you know the tags are ever ripped off or you know anything like that. So you actually have a handout in your folder. And this is all on comparing unit prices.
Yeah.
Cool. And then when you guys get the book, you'll have this forever as well. So, okay. So this is going to give us a couple different examples, and we can practice with this. So I actually brought a calculator. Got super 1900s about it. Left the cell phone behind. But if you guys have your calculators, you know we can practice on this too. So what this is telling us is first how this breaks down. So this is talking about just a store brand of peanut butter. So just any jar of peanut butter, 15-ounce jar. They're saying that you're going to give the cashier $1.99. That's the retail price. And that the unit price is 13 cents per ounce. So each ounce of that peanut butter is 13 cents. And it's actually going to be a decimal, so you can't really multiply that. It's going to come out a little wonky. But it's about 13 cents an ounce in that jar. Okay, so here we go again. So retail price, number of units, what you pay. And the way they got that math is by dividing. So the bottom section tells you that to figure it out on your own, you're going to look at that retail price and then divide it by how many units are in that product. So if we practice on this one, if I remember how to use a calculator. So we're saying the jar of peanut butter is $1.99. I can't see it from where you are, but so $1.99, and I'm going to divide it by what number?
15.
15. Good. So there's 15 ounces in the jar. And sure enough, it comes to 0.13266. We round down, so that's 13 cents an ounce. So, any questions on that?
No.
Cool. So the easy way to compare unit price between this brand and that brand is, of course, to look at the unit price. The other way is to find it on your own. So this is going to come in really handy when we're comparing like items, but that are a little different. So for one thing, you know, with produce, it really depends on what the season is going to matter how, you know, going to show us how cheap something is or going to determine how cheap something is. So in this next example, to get some practice on it, this is going to compare a pound of fresh green beans, so that you would just grab either in a bag or you know how they have the section where you can just scoop it out yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a pound of fresh green beans would be $2.99, and then a 12-ounce bag of frozen green beans would be $1.99. So we know that right in the moment, the frozen ones are going to cost less. So there's less coming out of my pocket right now if I buy the green beans. But is that the best buy? And of course it depends on what you're making too, but say I'm making some kind of casserole where it's gonna be wet anyway. I don't need dry, crispy green beans.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wet, I'm gonna cut them up. It doesn't matter if it was fresh, canned, or frozen. I really just care about the price. This is where that comes into play. So for food one, it teaches us again how to do it, the same thing. Now first of all, if I do $2.99 divided by 1 for 1 pound, what's the answer going to be?
Oh, divided by 1.
Yeah.
$2.99, yeah.
So I didn't mean to trick you yet. So we can't do that. We can't divide by 1. So what we have to do for comparing pounds to ounces is we have to convert them all into ounces, right? Do you remember from like elementary school, right? The bottom number, we have to convert the bottom number.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you guys know how many pounds this is in it?
16.
16?
16 ounces.
16 ounces.
Good, so 16 ounces in a pound.
Yeah.
If we forget, we have that on our little cheat sheet. Right, so just to double check that then, the pound of fresh green beans is going, sorry, whoops. So the pound of fresh green beans is going for $2.99. So we're dividing that by
16
ounces. And with rounding, that comes to 0.186, so that comes to 19 cents per ounce.
Yep.
And then our second example, food B, we're saying that costs $1.99. And I'm dividing it by how many ounces is the bag?
12.
12. Nope.
Didn't count.
Calculators. $1.99 divided by 12 ounces. So 16.5, so you round up. So that comes to 17 cents an ounce. Okay, so which one's the better buy?
Frozen.
The frozen ones then. So in this case, so, you know, it makes a difference. Like you just said with the story about sausage. It's a couple pennies, but there's 52 weeks in a year, right?
Yeah.
And if we shop once a week and we get a bunch of items every time, it really, those pennies add up to dollars and, you know, it really makes a difference over time.
Yeah.
So any questions on how to do unit pricing? Alright. So that's one of my favorite lessons. I think it's one of the most useful things you can learn, honestly, when it comes to budgeting.
It really is. It really is. Sometimes, you know, people get taken like for meat and they go and they look and they will, because it's $12 versus 11 something, they will take the 11 something, but actually the, like you're saying, the ounces, this one might be $11, but it's only 4 ounces, where this one is $12.
Yes.
And the ounces, you know, is a little bit.
Yes, that's such a big one too.
But they look at it, and they don't look at the fact that it'll tell you it's $1.99 per pound or $2.29 per pound. People don't look at that.
Right. They really don't. So that's what we want to talk about today. Really deciphering that. We're going to cover meat actually, and I have some examples of meat. So that's actually a really big one. There's like 3 different categories on the meat. So I'll wait on that so I don't skip ahead. But yes, it's like once you start applying this to your life, and really too, so you don't make assumptions. You know, you'll see something like anything, beans for example. You know, this brand is, you know, $1.59 a can, but another one is 2 for $3. And it's psychological. So in our mind, when we see sale, we believe it. That's the sale, or, you know, anything that sounds like you're getting more for less, you know, and, they're not lying. They just have to say it. And if you didn't check, that's on you. So just looking at my plate really quick. So what we've learned and everything about how it's sectioned off, what does my plate tell us about the way we should maybe be budgeting? Where should more or less of our budget be going?
Fruits and vegetables.
Good. So fruits and vegetables. That's where we should be spending a lot more. Dairy, remember, only 3 servings a day. And then our protein and our meat, you know, much smaller than most of us actually consume in one sitting.
Yeah.
So, good. And that's usually the one that everyone says is so expensive. That's, you know, what I hear all the time, but fruits and vegetables are so expensive. So, you know, learning different tips to save money on that produce is really big one. So, do you guys have any tips or anything you guys do right now regularly to save money on produce? I'm sure some we covered in lesson 4.
Oh,
It's okay if you don't. Really. It's like the sales, flyers, really seasonal
okay.
produce is the big one.
yeah.
So one thing, when you go to the grocery store, in the produce section, the sale items are usually going to be pretty close to the front when you walk in to catch
Yeah.
your eye.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start noticing that, especially as the seasons change, where, strawberries is a really good example. Those are, in winter, I mean, they're like $5 a pint, at least in Connecticut. Part of that's part of how it's traveling and taking time to get to us. When it gets warmer, you'll start to see that they're in the front of the store, and they're more like $1.99 a pint, $2.99 a pint.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a good tip, like right there. Know what's in season, and you can actually go online for that. The Department of Agriculture has different, places you can map it up. You can definitely Google even your farms. Farmer markets are another good one. Whatever they have is clearly in season. Right, and then the other one, again, though, going back to unit price. So the best example is talking about buying in bulk versus buying separate. So the other big budgeting tip with your produce is buying in bulk. So, and this goes with anything, the big chains out there, the bulk stores they have.
Yeah.
So, those cost you more money at the time, right? You come walk out with this giant grocery cart and hopefully you can eat all that stuff before it goes bad. But you spend way less at the moment, right? I mean, we know that now. That's why so many people are members of these places. So even on a smaller scale, though, buying in bulk is going to save you money. So carrots, for example, the first example we use, this is showing us that this is showing us that a bag of carrots that weighs 5 pounds is costing $3.49, and it's 70 cents a pound. And if we wanted to double check that, we could, right? $3.49 divided by 5, and that would tell us 70 cents a pound.
Yeah.
So if I get this and I can eat it all, great. I'm saving myself some money. If I'm not going to eat all this, it's going to go bad, then of course now I'm wasting money. So if we get a 5-pound bag, it's costing us 70 cents per pound. If I was to buy a 1-pound bag on its own, you can see it's $1.49, and it's $1.49 a pound. So this is 1 pound, that's the unit price as well. So just by doing this, if I was to buy 5 separate pounds, that would now be looking at, around $7.50, $8, for the same amount of food.
Yeah.
So whenever you can buy in bulk, if it makes sense for you and your family, definitely, try to do that and think of some recipes where you could use your the rest of this up. So that's actually a pretty big difference right there. The other way we save money is by buying things in their whole form. So this is just a carrot. It's not cut for you. It's not washed for you, right? You're going to open it up. You're going to have to do all that yourself. And that's going to save you money because when they do that for you, it's what's called a convenience fee.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, the more work that's done, the more washing, the more chopping that's been done, you're paying them for having done that. So, this 1 pound bag of carrots is $1.49 for 1 pound. Now you can see this one, the baby carrots, 16 ounces, right? So that is a 1 pound bag. And now what's the unit price?
$1.99.
$1.99. So 50 cents we're paying them extra because they washed it and cut it. So, there might be time that's convenient for you. I'm not saying never do that. If you're out and about and you're looking for a healthy snack, you're trying to avoid the fast food, and hey, if I can get a washed and cut carrot, I will pop that in my mouth right now.
Yeah.
Definitely a healthier choice. If it was on sale, maybe if you were making a huge dinner and, that would really save you a lot of time having these cut up, great. But if you have time to do it on yourself, you're definitely. So unit price, that tells you right there, 50 cents more for that. And then we get down to the most convenient of all, the shredded. And the shredded, look how much that unit price goes up. So now, again, if we're not paying attention, quick glance, oh, this bag's $1.99, this bag's $1.99. But no, something's off. These are $3.20 per pound because look at this. The rectangle bag might look the same, but how many ounces is the match ones, the ones that are cut up like matchsticks?
10.
10.
ounces.
So we're paying the same in that moment, but we're getting 6 less ounces than we are with the baby carrots. So it just really adds up. So any questions on that or comments?
You have to pay extra for convenience.
Yeah, you have to pay extra. So whatever makes sense for you and your family, do that when you have to. But yeah, other than that, try to do it on your own. And we talked about that. It's good to shred things up. We do it every class. Actually, you guys are doing that today. We're gonna shred a carrot today. So we're gonna shred the carrot. We're gonna shred the biceps. We're gonna burn some calories. Way more cost effective. And then just, one other thing to mention with produce as well, we always have our frozen option and as our canned option. Just remember with our cans, we talked in episode 2 about the pros and cons of all the forms of fruit and vegetables. If you're going to get the cans, just make sure that they have as few ingredients as possible, so just the vegetable and the water, low sodium. All of these, as you can see, the ingredients were just carrots. So all of these, just carrots across the board. Okay. The next section we often walk into in the grocery store then is our protein section. So with our meat, we're going to talk about the ground beef now. As far as reading labels goes and paying attention, they're usually going to have these 3 different blocks. So we're saying it's usually going to tell you what the unit price is. Okay. It's going to tell you how many pounds that actual item is. And then it's going to tell you the total price. And that's, I think, like what you were saying, a lot of people get confused. They all look the same. And what we don't realize is this might be 1 1/3 pounds, and this one might be just under 1 pound. And they look so similar that, we're just grabbing whichever says the cheapest. But you might find your meal's not as big as you thought it was going to be that night. So we definitely want to read all 3, different categories. And then the other thing with our ground beef, and this goes for any ground meat too, so ground chicken, ground turkey. In general, the leanest cut of meat you're going to find is 93% lean and 7% fat. The fattiest cut you're going to find will be your 80% lean muscle and 20% fat. Okay. There are some exceptions, especially now I'm starting to see more if you get like the poultry that's all white meat. You are starting to find that with 99% lean muscle, which is great. But in general, it's 93% lean and 7% fat. So one thing that you're going to notice, which one's more expensive, the fatty one or the lean one?
The lean one.
The lean one, right? So 93% lean muscle. It's quite a bit more expensive too. So a couple dollars. But that's because when we're cooking fat, what happens to fat? What happens when you're grilling a burger or, making the turkey tacos or something like that? What happens with the fat?
It comes out.
It comes out, right?
Yeah.
Good. So we lose some of it. So it shrinks out, or it comes out, and then our meat shrinks down. So if you're grilling it, it's going to drip down. Good. So we're paying less for the fatty cut because we're actually getting less. So not the whole 20%, but I mean about 20% of that is fat. Most of that's just going to seep right out of your meal. Okay? We're paying more because we're getting more with the lean meat. It's also a lot healthier. So, we covered reading labels a bit, but the one thing I want to just double check with you guys now is if we could read the label and the fat difference. So remember, meat is where we get our fat and our saturated fat from,
Yes.
dairy as well, right? So our animal products. So a serving size, first of all, is not a whole pound. So you're not expecting anyone to eat this all on their own. So a serving size is usually going to be 4 ounces. So that's like a 1/4 pounder, right? So about a 1/4 of that. So when we flip it over, we talked about labels way back, but they're always in the same order. So we want to see how much total fat is in the product and, how much saturated fat and just like what % daily value. So out of all the fat we need for the day, how much is that? So does one of you want to read how many grams of fat is in a serving of the lean one and then one of the fatty one?
Yep.
Do you want to do the lean beef? All right. And then our fattiest cut. So in the lean beef, how many grams of fat are we looking at? And just 4 ounces.
8 grams.
8 grams. Okay, cool. And what's the % daily value on that?
12%.
12%. Okay, cool. And what about saturated fat?
15%.
Okay, 15% of our daily value. So that's kind of right in the middle. So remember, 5% is low in something, 20% is high in something, anything else is in between. That's not too bad. All right, and then what about the 80-20 cut?
The total fat is 23 grams,
Wow.
and that's 35% of the daily value.
Oh my.
And the saturated fat is 9 grams.
Oh my gosh. So there's more saturated fat in that than there's
Yes.
total fat in the lean cup, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's, that's a sometimes food. I'm not saying never eat it, but I mean, if you're eating over a third of the fat you need for an entire day, I don't know, load that thing up with veggies and maybe don't put french fries on the side. I don't know. And if you do want french fries, stick with the lean beef maybe. So, good. So it's pretty eye-opening, isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
pretty eye-opening, but it's the fat that makes things taste.
Gives a
Yes.
flavor. Yeah.
So the pros and
Gives it the
cons, right?
But
There's
it's
the
3
pro.
times the fat as there is in this.
Yeah.
Right? So what are some things we can do then instead to make it taste good? So, well, one, we have a range. So we could maybe get a cut in between 85, 15. What else is something you can do to make meat taste good?
The seasonings that you put in it.
Good, the seasoning. So really, cooking. That's where cooking comes in and learning different seasonings. I know somebody, a lot of times they'll make burgers and they'll put it in this like onion soup mix actually. Have you ever had that? So
Oh, they'll mix it in with
yes. Yeah, and it actually makes it kind of
tastes
moist as
really
well.
it? Oh.
Or
Good.
even steak sauce.
Ooh, or steak sauce.
Steak
Yeah,
sauce.
so our sauces. Good. So there's alternatives. And then money-wise, that's really the big one though. So cool. So with beans, just so you know, this would save us money. So if we add like a can of beans, a pound of beans to our meat, and we just want to look out for the sodium. So these are black beans. That's what these represent. So a serving is usually half a cup, and it'll say that right on top, serving size half a cup. And we really just want to look up for sodium in this case. So if one of you would like to read how many milligrams of sodium is in a can of beans.
Yeah. Sodium on this one is 460 milligrams.
460 milligrams. And then what about on its low sodium version?
The low sodium is 125.
Okay, so really big difference, right?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like almost a third.
Wow, yeah, almost a third. So if you are going to be budget friendly, try to still stay health conscious as well and try to go for the low sodium. And just so you know, this is a bag of it, so this would be stored in nothing. So no water, no sodium, and there's 20 milligrams of sodium. So naturally, these beans have about 20 milligrams. So everything else on there you can see is definitely added. So, and then last budgeting tip for your meat. That's right. I think when you guys mentioned this in episode 4, you can also find out when they get their new shipments and when the last day is going to be. So that's another thing with your meat. If you can find out when their best buy date is, they have to sell it for cheaper on the last day that they can sell it, just so you know.
Okay.
And the best buy date, that's not the same as an expiration date, right?
No.
So do you use that ever?
I do. I
Good.
do. When I was, with my kids, we used to go find the grocery store across the street, and they call them manager specials.
That's,
Yes.
manager special.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the sticker on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Get it when it's on manager special.
And that's right. And it tastes just as well.
Mhm.
And when you freeze it, it stays just as long.
Yep. And that's the next thing, just as long, right? So when you freeze meat, I mean, they say it's good up for about 6 months. And that's in your regular freezer. If you happen to have one of those deep freezers, or something in a different room or that you don't open as much, it can actually stay frozen for up to a year. So good. Manager specials, buying in bulk, when they have those like 3 or 5 pound, things on sale, and then you can
And even
portion it.
when you buy like a whole roast, you can actually get the store for nothing to cut it into smaller pieces for you.
Oh, see that? That's a really good tip. Yeah, it takes away the convenience fee then, right? So if they cut it for you, if you're buying legs or wings or breast separate, that's great. And the grocery store won't even charge you.
And they don't charge you.
Norma, nice. Good. That might be the tip of the day. There we go. Have them do it for free. They want your business, they'll cut your meat. Nice. Awesome. Any questions about that on the meat itself or anything? Good, excellent tips, you guys. Okay, so next then, sticking with our animals, so we're walking into our dairy section next where we have our milk and ice cream and cheese and all that, right? So this is actually the first way I learned. Just when I was a kid, my dad taught me, not unit pricing, but he just taught me about like buying things in bulk and, you know, bigger sizes. Milk is actually what I learned that with. So we have our 4 levels of fat with our milk. So we have our whole milk, 2%, 1%, and then skim.
Yeah.
So, and they're gonna vary, you know, by a couple grams of fat. So it's definitely recommended that we try to eat more low-fat foods in our life. You know, just so you know, it's about the same, pretty much no matter what brand you get. Whole milk is usually gonna be about 8 grams of fat, 2% is usually 5 grams, 1% is usually 3 grams, and then skim, of course, right, 0, so fat-free. What will stay the same is the sugar. So this has 12 grams, and that's pretty much across the board too. So they're all gonna have the same amount of sugar because that's the sugar naturally found in milk. So lactose is the milk sugar. So you can't get rid of that. This is really cool actually. Even if you look at lactate milk, where they got rid of the sugar, it'll actually still have 12 grams of sugar in there. Isn't that weird? So the thing with that is you can't get rid of it. It's part of the milk. So what they do with lactate in those types of milk, or lactose-free milk, whatever brand it is, they actually add the enzyme lactase that our body usually makes, and they add it into the milk so it eats the sugar for you.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you're lactose intolerant, you won't be affected by it. But funny thing, read the label next time you see it. It's the same.
Wow.
So fat and calories are going to be around the same. Of course, we want our vitamin D, our calcium, and the price is where it's going to change. So just for an example, if we're looking at 1 gallon of milk, this one is telling us that it's $3.79 a gallon. It is a gallon, so of course the unit price is $3.79. If we were to buy just a half gallon instead, we're really not saving that much money, right? So now it's $3.20 for the gallon, and the unit price is significantly different, right? So $6.40.
Yeah.
Ugh, crazy. So that means like if you bought 2 of these instead of 1 of these, you're really adding to your pocket for no reason. So, you know, again, this is only good if you're gonna drink it all. If not, it's gonna go to waste. But if you can drink it or use it in baking and tricks like that. Okay, and then for a quart of milk, just to show you how much it goes up again, $1.82. Look at that. What's the unit price? I don't even want to say it.
$7.
$7 for a gallon.
$0.30. My goodness. So we went from $3.49 to $6.40 to $7.30. So, you know, at the
more
moment.
Than double. Yeah.
Yeah, more than double. So if it's just you and that's all you can drink, then great. You know, don't waste your money on what you can't use. But if you can use it, by all means, because that price goes way up. As far as other sugar, we'll talk about that in episode 6, is where we'll talk about sugar and chocolate milk and all of those, just so you know. The other foods in your dairy, so would be your cheese, of course. You want to stick to what we've always do in class. You know, buying the blocks of cheese, that will save you money. Just like our example with the carrots, right? Once you start shredding it, or once they start shredding it for you, it's going to cost more. It'll often have more preservatives as well, you know, just because now that cheese is more of the surface is exposed to air. I know it's in a bag, but it's still exposed to air. So you want to get the blacks. And then yogurt. So the other thing in our dairy category. The big thing with yogurt, as far as budgeting, again, so buying these big tubs is definitely going to be cheaper in the long run than buying the little sample ones.
Yeah.
The thing you really want to look out for is sugar, though. So with our dairy, so do you guys eat yogurt, either of you? Fans?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yes and no?
No.
I like yogurt.
Yeah.
Not a fan. So if you are, really just the big lesson with yogurt is you want to try to eat the plain yogurts and add your own sweeteners to them. So I don't mean like sweeteners as an artificial, but, you know, add natural fruit. You know, honey is still sugar, you know, but if you add a little, you're gonna add way less than they ever would in the tub. And then the new labels are coming out. So this is just a vanilla yogurt. And with the new food label coming out, some of them already have it, and that tells you how many sugars total are in a product. And then also the line under it says including how many added sugars. So this I think is a really big one.
Yeah.
This is what they're, the recommendations. This is what they're saying. They're not saying, oh, don't eat 3 apples. That's a lot of sugar. They're saying stop getting added sugars.
So it doesn't say sugar, it says glucose or fructose or something else.
Oh, good question. So it actually, on the label, it does say sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the 3 types though, the fructose, the glucose, and the sucrose.
Yeah.
So those, it won't say that yet. But one thing, this will be good with the fruity ones even more so, it's at least going to start leading us in the right direction of how much of that is the fruit that's on the bottom of the yogurt and how much is added to make it like sticky and syrupy. I thought this was a good example. This is just vanilla yogurt, so it's not a crazy flavor. It's certainly not those candy ones. When I was little, that was not a thing. You could buy cookies and you could buy yogurt, but you did not buy cookies inside your yogurt. So, but do you guys want to just read that and just see how many total sugars and how many added sugars there are?
So you're saying that, okay, so the total sugars is 20 grams, and it said it includes 11 grams added sugar. So is that the assumption that the 11 grams is the vanilla?
Yeah, it's mostly vanilla and probably some sweeteners once you start reading the whole label.
So 11 grams of the 20 is added.
Yeah. Yep. So it's only 9 grams were naturally in there. Mostly, I'm assuming the lactose. Yeah. So a lot of the vanilla and whatever flavor, they might have added a little more to enhance that vanilla flavor as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
We're killing them too much sugar.
I know, it's like out of control. Literally.
But
out
they
of
make
control.
it look cute.
I know, isn't it adorable? The little vanilla beans, the little sticks. So, and then for budgeting on that, just same, if it's worth it to you, buy it in the bigger sizes. We've done the trick before now, right? We've used yogurt in place of sour cream. We've used it in our cooking. I don't know if we have in this class, but yeah, so there's a lot more things we can use for yogurt as well. All right, so we've done our produce. So we've done fruits, vegetables, our protein group, dairy. The last is grains. Of course, we do a whole class on that already, just on its own in Cooking Matters. So episode 3, we really practice with the label reading and, whole grains versus refined grains. Some budgeting tips though with your breads and your pastas though. When you see those sales, now that you know how to do unit price, I see 2 for $3 all the time. So maybe take up that offer, but double check it first. With bread, similar to what you were saying about the manager specials. So with bread, especially in the bakery aisle, they will often have that special too. So like especially the baguettes, right? That those don't stay in a bag for a long time. They only last a day or 2. So
They'll have a shelf, a day old shelf.
Yes, that's exactly good. Thank you. Yes, the day old shelf. Yeah, a section right there. If you don't know where it is, ask the manager, ask an employee. Again, if it's not moldy, it's not bad. It's just you either have to find new uses for it, like we talked last week, croutons or something that you could do with the harder breads. Or just eating it, just softening it. It's not bad. It's not like rock hard yet. So get it when it's on its way out, and just look out for anything that says made with whole grain. So that's just the one tip I want to make in this store, because as we're shopping these grocery aisles, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing like a bright red box, or a dark blue box, and then in the bright white letters, made with whole grains, and we talked about that in episode 3. Made with whole grains doesn't necessarily mean that it is a whole grain. It just means some of the ingredients in there would be whole. So, and also I just want to say, cereals in the grain groups, just try to get yourself eating more of the healthy ones, and the kids too. Like, of course, the colors, the marshmallows, the fruit, the sugar, they look so good. Chocolate,
A lot of
yes.
them have chocolate now.
Yep, chocolate, major weakness. We really want to try to eliminate that and eat more of the regular ones. So here's just just a food label. I won't say what cereal it is, but this is one of the fruity ones, any of those brands. And if you just look how long the how long the food label is anyway. I mean, the very first ingredient is sugar.
Oh my.
How is it sugar? Shouldn't it be grain? Shouldn't it be wheat? It's not made out of sugar, it's made out of wheat. No, there's more sugar in these cereals, and a lot of them, than there is the actual grain they make it with. Like, where our bodies can't handle that. So, just 1 cup, and a serving size of cold cereal is usually 1 cup. Hot cereal is usually half cup, but cold cereal is 1 cup. We're looking at 12 grams of sugar right there. The box, I can just tell you it says bright letters, whole grain, and excellent source of fiber and all of that. But it's mostly sugar. Then it's talking about the different grains they use. It says corn flour blend, whole grain yellow corn flour, but then wheat flour, so the wheat isn't a whole grain. Partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Partially hydrogenated, remember, those are our trans fats.
Yeah,
that's the other word. So that's not even human. Speaking of things that don't come, that are inhuman and unearthly, blue number 2. What food group does that fall into?
Oh.
It doesn't fall into
dye, yeah.
So that's not even a food group. So just the food coloring, the dyes. So just try to make healthier choices with your whole grains. And then and just going along, with that theme. Last couple things I like to say in the grocery store is taking into account everything we've been doing, in the whole 6-week class. Just making your own food. So getting these specials, getting these sales, buying the things, portioning it yourself, making it yourself. That's how we avoid food labels that look like this. So, this is just stuff from the process aisle. I won't even tell you what's what, but one of them is a frozen pizza. I mean, I picture frozen pizza, I'm thinking, whole wheat, cheese, active cultures to make the cheese, and some tomato sauce. No. Just to get those 3 ingredients, the crust, the sauce, and the cheese. We have all of these in here, so it's just a lot. And then with the meals that, I know as adults we take them to work too, but it's more, we put these in our kids' lunch boxes. Recognize that. I mean, this is just another example. One thing that's this big should not have that many ingredients in it. So
the length of the ingredient label is probably the size of the whole.
It is. It's the whole box.
The food label, yeah.
You're absolutely right. That is about how big the box is. We have to cut the label to actually get it in their lunchbox. We have to take the label off the box. So, So hit up those grocery stores. Use the skills you've been learning. I know grocery shopping is expensive at first, but once we learn all these tips and we learn how to navigate our way through and reading these labels, you do it a few times and it becomes second nature. You read the labels of your 5 favorite brands, then you don't have to do it every single time. And it'll just really open your eyes to just eating healthy and starting putting it into practice. Okay guys, so for today's recipe, we are going to go along with what we talked about in episode 4. So we're going to make that step-by-step pasta that we covered. And we're also going to make a really simple salad and an even easier salad dressing. So one thing that I really love that you get in this book is a whole page on different salad dressings you can make. These are going to be way healthier than the ones at the store. So there's just nothing added. We don't need any preservatives to make it last a long time. So any salt or pepper or herbs we need, we only need it for taste. So anything in the world can be a salad. It doesn't have to be, greens. We tend to get stuck. It has to be lettuce, it has to be this, it has to be that. So this is actually just a tomato, cucumber, onion salad. I did red onions. You can do any type. And you can drizzle the dressing on or you can let it swim. So I've actually had it like that too, where it just swims, and it actually lasts a couple days. So the dressing, this is just our simple salad dressing. It's actually called simple salad dressing. So to make it, we have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We have extra virgin. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, which is like $1 for a whole bottle at the store. So the red wine vinegar. And then just a little salt and pepper. That's it. So there's about half teaspoon of salt in there and a quarter teaspoon of pepper. And then you just whisk it up. I love the way it looks cool too. It's cool. So we just stir it up. And you could add some herbs in there if you wanted. Sometimes when I do it, if I want it a little more Italian, I'll add some basil or oregano. We're actually going to have those in our pasta sauce tonight though, so I decided to step back. So there we go. Just whisk it up. Put it on in there. Toss it. Be all fancy with our salad tossers. This is often the part where one thing goes flying out, and so when you might want to catch this in your mouth or something. But that's it. And you could put other things in here too, but I love this. It's so simple. Like I said, it can last in the fridge for about 3 days even if you make a really big batch of it. The acidity of the vinegar just prevents, you know, germs and bacteria from really eating it away. Then we have a little speckle, a little nice color. And that's it. Yeah. The main recipe we're doing today is our step-by-step pasta, and we're going to make our own pasta sauce. So, love this one. So, part of the guidelines, just like we did our step-by-step dressing before, step-by-step pasta dinner makes it so that we don't have to make sure we have what the recipe says. We just have to have something in our house. And we know from the previous discussion, we have stuff that we want to get rid of. So what we're going to do in this recipe is we are going to do pasta. You could do this with rice, you know, barley, any other whole grain you wanted. But we're going to do whole grain pasta, whole wheat. And then for the sauce, we're doing a little olive oil. We're going to saute the vegetables. And we're going to put in some onion and garlic that we already have cut up. So this recipe, the sauce we're using is from a 28 ounce. So the crushed tomatoes. Yeah. So we have our crushed tomatoes. And just to add flavor to it, we're going to simmer the onion and garlic beforehand. And then we're actually going to shred up a carrot too. So carrot's a good one because it's one of those vegetables that does have a higher sugar content than other vegetables. So it actually will sweeten up your sauce a little bit. And we're just going to shred that, which we're no stranger to, right? So that'll be our sauce. So the onion, garlic, carrot, then we'll pour, once that's sauteed for about 3-4 minutes, we'll pour the crushed tomatoes on top of it. You could do regular tomato sauce at your house as well. Yeah. Okay. Now for the pasta itself, so in addition to the whole wheat pasta, we're going to add some vegetables and some protein. So the way our step-by-step looks, the way it recommends it says, you know, do your pasta or whatever whole grain you want, pick a protein, do some veggies, and a sauce and some seasonings. So we're doing, for our protein, we're actually doing edamame. So we mentioned that before. Have you guys ever had edamame by itself? Yes. Cool. Yeah. So it's just a soybean. And so these are soybeans, unprocessed. When you get the bag, you do want to try to get the one that says shelled. So to me, like shelled actually sounds like the shell is on, but I learned very early on that that was wrong. So if the shell or the pod is on, it'll actually stay in the pod, and it'll take you a lot more time to get them all out. So we have the already taken out of its pod. Perfect. So we have it just olive oil. You can use canola or any oil you want. And I like this because once these are simmering, then you can use that time to shred your carrot. Okay, so our pasta, our protein, and then for the vegetables, we're actually going to do cauliflower. So this is one of those foods people bring up a lot more lately. It's, I don't want to say it's like a buzzword, but it kind of is. You know, we're doing buffalo cauliflower now, and cauliflower mashed potatoes, and cauliflower instead of this. So we're just going to add it as a vegetable, cutting it up really fine, and then you want me to show how you cut it, or? Okay. Okay, good. Good, so we're just going to cut that up small. It's just like broccoli, you know, in that it has the stem and then the florets. So they're in that same category of vegetables that we call florets. We cut ours up really small, and it's going to soften just fine. We're going to put it right in. If you wanted to do bigger chunks, and really make it a more prominent vegetable in your meal, you could broil it for a few minutes to soften it. You could even steam it. And if you don't have a steamer, which is, usually a couple pans, so you have a pan that boils water and a little net on top, you can just steam it in your microwave. Just like that, you could cut it, put a little bit of water in the bottom, and just microwave it for about 5 to 7 minutes. Steam will form in the microwave, and it really softens it well too. So totally your personal preference. Good job. All right, so I'm gonna wash my hands while you guys finish that up. Then the carrots next. Yep, so the carrots will go in too. And because they're shredded is why we can wait till after. So you always want to do harder things first because they take longer. So definitely the garlic was the harder one. And then the edamame even we can just add right near the end of the pasta. Right, it's starting to smell good. We were saying we could smell the garlic all day. So very pungent smell. Very good for us, very good for your respiratory system. Those look gorgeous to me. Caramelized. Yeah. Great, so then we can pour the sauce in. You do it, or do you want to do it? Let you guys do it more than myself. Slowly so you don't splatter too much. And we have it on medium-high right now.
Heat that up.
Yeah, and I can even grab the top once you mix it in if we just want to let it simmer for a little bit with the top on. And this could just as easily be a meat sauce as well. So if you chose meat as your protein, you could throw that in right after you did the vegetables, or some people would even do it first and brown it a little bit first. Easy cooking when things just sit there and cook themselves.
So that would simmer?
Yep, so you can turn that down, not completely to a simmer, but yeah, like low heat. Good. And then with these herbs, since they're dried herbs, we do want them in earlier so that they'll have time to soften. If you did have fresh oregano, that's something just really right at the end, in like the last minute or so, you would add that in. All right, you guys, so we have a nice simmer. Sure, let's add the protein in now, our edamame. And you can add the cauliflower as well. Love it. You know what? And I think we have a lot. We might even just leave a little bit behind. There we go. That's probably good for now. And then if we want more, we can always add to it. I think we are good, guys. What do you think? You want to go another minute or two? Or wow. Marinara sauce, one of our menu. So I'm going to put everything out while we finish the dishes. So our sauce is ready. We have pasta. I also have a little extra ricotta cheese if you want to add that on. Some people like Parmesan. Not fancy. Part skim, so lower fat.
More protein.
Yes. Oh, good call. Yeah. So some calcium and even more protein. Very good. And then what I like about adding ricotta with this too, say you have somebody that's a little nervous about vegetables or cauliflower, the cauliflower ends up looking just like the ricotta cheese does. So you can just be like, that's just cheese, what are you talking about?
You put the cauliflower in. You don't eat it?
So it works with like all ages, adults, the kids, if you let them do it, they will eat it.
So I put it in, I have to eat it. Okay.
Yeah. And it's going to surprise you. It's going to be like neither here nor there. We have fear. It's okay, it happens. One of my biggest mottos in these classes, try it while it's free. Right? If you're afraid of something, you've never had it, this is the time. It's free, it's been made. Luckily, mostly by you guys and not as much by me, so you know it's going to be awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for watching another episode of Cooking Matters Connecticut.
If you enjoyed this program today, you can participate as well. Cooking Matters classes will help you learn how to shop and cook healthy on a budget, explore new recipes, and overall have fun, meet new people, and gain new skills. If you're in the Hartford area and would like to participate in a Cooking Matters class, please call 860-714-5770 or email healthequity@stfranciscare.org. For Cooking Matters class information across the state, to participate or become a volunteer, please contact 203-303-3908. Thank you.